And when it comes to false teachers, boy, the New Testament uses some interesting words. Dogs, which was very negative. Some would say that was harsh language, using a naughty word. In that day, dogs. Says that certain churches are synagogues of Satan. Nice. Brood of vipers, whitewashed tombs. Your converts are twice the children of hell that you are. Your father is the devil. You've shipwrecked your faith. Those are strong statements about false teachers who are leading people astray. Blind guides to those who are leaders. Those are very strong, very provocative, very confrontational statements. There's a reason why Jesus got killed, and there's a reason why his disciples got killed. They spoke plainly, they spoke clearly, they spoke passionately, and they spoke pointedly, particularly about false teachers and false teaching. They did so that hearers would not be confused, that Christians would not be subtly seduced into false teachers and accommodation. Sadly, in our day, I think in the name of Christian niceness and politeness, very rarely does anyone who teaches false doctrine even get called a heretic. I'm not even sure we're allowed to use the word anymore. I don't want to throw it around too prematurely. There, in past days, would need to be a council that would convene and investigation was done. We can't just throw that word around like so many foolish bloggers do. But at the same time, we need to preserve certain words like false teachers and false apostles and heretics and those who are leading others astray and those who are working in concert and teaching, quote unquote, the doctrines of demons. I think that some can just be angry and mean-spirited and harsh, and they're the Christian equivalent of snipers. They're always looking for someone to shoot in the name of discernment. But I think that too many, in the name of politeness and nicety, tolerate things that God doesn't, tolerate teaching that Scripture doesn't. I mean, when we're in a day when whole denominations are having homosexual pastors, letting people sleep together outside of marriage, praying with people who are members of other religions, even when young religious leaders of prominent churches writing for major Christian outlets and publications call the Dalai Lama His Holiness. When this kind of nonsense goes on and nobody rings the bell and nobody loads the gun and nobody calls foul, I think there is a prophetic need to, not in a harsh, mean-spirited or angry, but in a concerned, in a loving, in a worried way to tell the sheep that there's false shepherds afoot and that the flock is not safe. And so, yeah, I do think that Christians, especially Christian leaders, need to be very careful defining how big our world is and then making sure that we distinguish those that are outside of the bounds of orthodoxy, Trinity, substitutionary atonement, heaven, hell, Bible, humanity, divinity of Jesus, resurrection. Those kind of big issues put us in a place of safety doctrinally. And when people are trying to pull us out of that place, they're really asking us to, well, to use the analogy of Scripture, to wander away from the shepherd and to wander away from the flock and to wander outside of the fence and to be devoured by our enemy, who's always looking for someone to devour, the Scriptures say. So I do think that sometimes strong, harsh language for false teachers is necessary because it tells everyone in stark terms that this is very, very serious. Maybe it's a foolish analogy, but if I looked at one of my children, let's say as they were wandering off, let's say at the grocery store, I've got 5 young kids, let's say my 2-year-old son Gideon and I pulled up to the grocery store and I was helping his siblings out of the car while he was standing next to me. He started wandering off and I saw a car coming. If I looked at him and said, "Oh, Gideon, please stop," in a very hushed, polite, loving, respectful, nice, patient tone, he probably wouldn't respond immediately because it wouldn't seem urgent. If I raise my voice, if you can see it in my eyes, if you can hear it in my tone, if my language is, "Gideon, stop, right now, stop," and I raise my voice and I drop my tone, he knows this is very serious. I'm in danger. Dad's not kidding. We're not playing. This is serious and I need to obey right now. And I think that with our tone and with our language and with our words, I think we communicate the significance, the priority, the importance of what it is we're trying to say. If we're always yelling, always raising our voice, always using strong words, always using strong tone, then after a while people think that we're just over-speaking. But if we never use those things, then I think they are lacking the ability to discern what's really important and what's really urgent, and in our tone and in our language, we're giving them clues of what really is urgent and important. And I think that's very significant, and that's one of the discerning parts of pastoral ministry.